Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lord Ice, your host. It's been almost exactly 15 minutes since I cut the video on the buff training and crafting tutorial, and I know this because my little thing is flashing green. Pretty much nothing has changed since I cut the recording. I went and did some stuff, got myself a tall glass of orange juice, and I'll go ahead and do the upgrade system now, instead of waiting until the end of the video. Gotta just itch my ear for a second. Okay, so, how to upgrade items. Right click on item, click upgrade. It will automatically slot it into there. It'll assign it a tech point value. You select the tech upgrade that you want to apply. An accelerator if you want, and I think I am actually going to slot a... I'm actually going to slot a tech point boost, because it'll boost the amount of tech points I get, and therefore decrease the cost of getting it to Mark 14. And I've got freaking 60 1.5 technology boosts, so I don't feel uncomfortable using them. Overflow, what happens when you have too much is it just rolls over into the next thing. Like, it doesn't just go away. So that's upgrading. It's really simple. You make the upgrade kits, you apply them. Every time you hit apply upgrade, you lose 1,075 dilithium in an upgrade kit. But in return, you can get items to different marks. And the amount of tech points an item requires in order to get to the next mark is entirely dependent on the mark of the item. Like, let me get this out because I'm going to upgrade it too. Upgrade item. Notice it doesn't require nearly as much tech points as the other item. So let me just go ahead and drop it back into the upgrade. Superior upgrade. Let's grab some quality improvement because I kind of want this thing to become purple. Or fleet grade. Not yet, but now it's Mark 10. So yeah, that's how upgrading works. You can use boosters to boost how much quality improvement chance you get, how much tech points you get. The tech points you get depend on the kit you use. There are special kits, and we'll get to them when we actually get a special kit. But yeah, that's it for the upgrade system. It's really that simple. I would have tacked it on to the end of the last video, but I wasn't going to wait around for 15 minutes on camera talking about basically nothing. So, on to the Foundry. And before I do this, I'm going to make sure I have investigate officer reports, which I never actually thought about the last time I was doing Foundry missions. This gives you bonus rewards for doing Foundry missions, and it has a 30-minute cooldown from when you pick it up. So as soon as you pick it up, it starts the cooldown. If you do a half-hour mission, it'll be available again. Today we're going to be doing Derelict by Sir Boulevard, and it actually just went out of the review stage, I think last night, or the night before. I can't remember. There, Derelict by Sir Boulevard. You can see a lot of people like this mission. Mission doesn't qualify for rewards because it's short, but that's not a bad thing. So it won't count toward investigate officer reports, but that's okay. Captain, I'm reading an unusual subspace signal nearby. Do you wish to investigate? Readings indicate it's coming from NDC 1218, sir, near the Romulan neutral zone. It's too garbled to make anything out. If I hadn't happened to be scanning for wideband subspace frequencies for Iconian gateways, I don't think I'd have noticed it. It's on an older frequency, one used in the mid-23rd century. It could be an old signal that we are from that era, or it could be a ship in distress trying not to garner Iconian or Tralsiar attention. This mission does technically take place during the Iconian War, so it technically takes place after Catastrophe at Kate, which I can't do because, spoiler. But there's so little in this mission that actually depends on that. It's really just a matter of the NPCs that he uses, so I'll go ahead and explain those when I come across them, instead of having to wait a incredibly long time to play this on camera. Alright, Yeoman. Any missing vessels in the area? This is one of his recurring NPCs, Yeoman Aaron Matthews. Kind of a suck-up, little bit of a stalker for Helena. He's not a bad guy. I mean, he's okay. He's fun, though. I like joking around with Matthews sometimes. I'm checking the library computer database. There are 4 missing vessels in the area in the last 2 centuries. The SS Hullenden in 2253. What's that? 20 years before Kirk's Enterprise. The USS Agincourt in 2261. That's around the same time as Kirk's Enterprise, as we'll find out. The USS Hart in 2308, that's during the Lost Era. And the IKS Aichot in 2388, which is 10 years after the end of Star Trek Voyager? For people that are watching and don't know things. It's unlikely the Klingons and the Holoden would use Starfleet channels. Are you planning to investigate, sir? Well, battles we've been in lately, why not? It's a nice change of pace. I couldn't agree more. Helm, set course for NGC 1218. Which is out in the Romulan neutral zone. Done, done, done! Something that you can do on Starfleet Academy that you can't do on this map is beam directly to sector space. I really wish you could beam directly to sector space from this map, because that'd be convenient. Also going to cut open a popsicle here, because it's Florida, and it's summer, and heat. I have the AC on, but it always feels warm in my room. Alrighty. Ready to leave the system? Oh, yeah. Loading Beta Quadrant. I am planning on doing some Foundry missions in the Alpha Quadrant. Because ironically, when I was doing the Battle for the Alpha Quadrant series, way back when, most of the missions we were doing were in the Beta Quadrant. As an aside, for anyone watching this, Deep Space Nine uses Alpha Quadrant as a kind of catch-all for the entire area of the galaxy where the show takes place. As a matter of fact, almost all of Klingon space, almost all of Romulan space, and a good majority of Federation space is in the Beta Quadrant. And yet, Earth, Kronos, Romulus, they're always said to be in the Alpha Quadrant. So, people that say that Sol belongs in the Alpha Quadrant, no. It is actually canonically in the Beta Quadrant. It's just they're used interchangeably. So, there is that. People were complaining on the forums. Everything is where it's supposed to be, with the exception of these 4 sectors. Because these are supposed to be, like, way the shit down here. And they couldn't have that with the sector revamp. In fact, they used to be all the way down here, and now they're not. Coming up on NGC 1218, which from sector space looks like a giant debris field. I think they used to use this in one of the old Romulan Arc missions. So I don't think the system technically has a use anymore, because that mission got scrubbed. But it is a Foundry door now, and people are using it. Drop us from warp. We've arrived at NGC 1218. Drop us from warp. We've arrived at NGC 1218, sir. This is one of his other recurring characters, but she's not featured very much just yet. He has plans. Full stop. Science. Full sensor sweep. Narrow down that transmission. I think I have a possibility, sir. Yeah. Restart that. I think I have something, sir. Possibly in that micronebula over there. Sensor interference is too great. If there's a ship in there, it would have been lost in time. This system is rarely approached due to anomalies and its great distance from important worlds. The Ferocans and Romulans are the only races who live nearby, and even they eschew this place. Can you give me a more precise scan before we lose our sensors in the cloud? Signal seems to have an echo variance. If those asteroids have low-level dilithium deposits combined with the deuterium in the cloud, it could cause a signal echo like that. I suggest starting there. Set a course for the asteroids in the Micro Nebula. Something I realized in the first few videos is that I had the music turned off, so I actually turned the music back on for recording. I don't usually listen to this game's music because I've heard it so many times that it got boring, but it gives some nice background ambient sometimes. And especially in this mission, I liked how this song plays well with it. Scan the Derelict. This is the source of the transmission, sir. Very badly degraded. Constitution class, original configuration. It can only be the USS Agincourt. Confirmed. Visual scans of hull markings confirm it is the USS Agincourt NCC 1601. Little late for a rescue, unfortunately. Any idea what destroyed her? I'm passing what little sensor data we have off to engineering for analysis. Engineering, damage report on the Agincourt. I'm reading damage to her environmental seals. She's exposed to space, sir. No breathable atmosphere. Shujiro? I like him. This is one of my favorite dudes. If I bring some power cells over, I could brute force a temporary environment for a staging area, and then possibly use the rest of the life support system to reserves to set up maybe 30 minutes of air to investigate before the ship leaks out again. With your permission, sir, I'd like to beam over and set up a safe zone with the Agincourt's transporter room to prepare her for your away team. Do the thing. Beam over Shuji. Transporter chief says, transporter room here. Getting some unusual readings from the Agincourt's transporter pad. What's the problem, chief? I can't tell. Not with the sensor interference. I was trying to interface with their pad to ensure that Shuji could get over safely, but I can't. Can Lieutenant Yamaguchi beam over safely without the interlock? Yes, sir. It's riskier, but it's doable. Lieutenant, are you up to it? Risk is part of the job, sir. Once I'm over, I'll send out a subspace pulse with my suit's communicator. That should temporarily clear the disruption around the beam-in point for your team to get in. Then I'll get to work with getting the Agincourt online and repairing the transporter. Understood, Chief. Proceed. Beam over Shuji, for real this time. Lieutenant Yamaguchi's done it. A safe zone has been established in the transporter room, and the subspace pulse is active. Ready for you to beam over at any time. On my way. Standard away team even though there's no combat in this mission. Well, that's fast. That's really fast for a Foundry mission. Holy shit. Don't mind me, I'm eating my popsicle. Welcome aboard, sir. Crewman Thalik and Shellon beamed over before you did and are working to restore power to engineering. I have no idea what's wrong with the transporter, sir. Something about it's familiar, though. Something I read at the Academy. Took a quick glance and there's a feedback loop in the pattern buffer. It'll take me a while to understand what's going on, but I intend to have this pad working by the time we need to get off the ship. Excellent work. How long until life support is restored? I can't answer that. Best to head to engineering and ask Crewman Thalik. He's working to get the generators working. Once you drop the force field, this place is going to lose its atmosphere, so make sure you put on an EV suit before doing so. I'd rather not send you back freeze-dried, sir. Thank you, Lieutenant. Dark comedy aside. I am going to equip my bridge officers with environment suits, but I'm going to leave them here in the transporter room because they don't have a job right now. Great officers as they are. I keep a set of environmental suits on bridge officers that I do not take with me on away missions, in case that I ever need to yank them out, and I don't want to take up all the inventory space in the world holding spare equipment. That's 3, and that's 4. I keep my personal environmental suit in my inventory. I could store it on a bridge officer, but I've been using it lately, so I don't see a point in doing that. I'll store it if I start not using it as much. And then on me, go ahead and equip the Solanae Sentinel. And I'll go ahead and cover how to get this environmental suit now. It's actually going to come from the next mission that we're going to be doing in the storyline, Step Between Stars. In that mission, you are given an environmental suit of Solanae design, similar to this one. Once you get all three, you can pay 150 Lobi to merge them into one of these suits. You can either get the white version or this version. Literally the only change is color. My bridge officers are turning on their environment suits because they started suffocating. Because, well, there's no air now. Talk to Thalic. Hello, sir. We're trying to bring the ship... Oh, right, he's Vulcan. Or is he? I forget. We're trying to bring the ship systems online, but obviously a starship isn't designed to be run by a handful of crew, so it's rough going. We need to get life support online so we don't have to work in these bulky suits. In order to do that, we need the old duotronic computers turned on, and they need to be turned on anyway so we can access the Agincourt's files. Seems easy enough. Except for the part where those controls are across the hall, and Shalon and I don't have enough hands to get the warp core online or activate the EPS manifolds to have power for those systems. I seem to have a spare set of hands. What can I do? Shalon and I can handle the minutiae of turning on the warp core if you don't mind actually flipping the switch. Then we'll start regulating the power flow, while you activate the power couplings at the big wall console at the other side of engineering. Then you can go across the hall into the science lab, turn on the duotronic computers, and then find the big LCARS wall panel in the room. That's the life support console. Activate those and we'll be good to go. Alright, let's get working. Wave my hands at nothing. Press buttons. This is the science lab, yes? This is the engineering lab, but this is still the lab that we need to go to. Turn on the computer. Let's see how fast it boots. Alright, bring life support online by sticking my hands through the wall. Thalic here. Ship's power levels are rising. I suspect we'll have life support in 2 minutes. Thank you, crewman. We're heading to the bridge to see if we can learn anything else there. Understood, sir. We'll start downloading the Agincourt's files immediately. Well done. I still like the Mulrihan music that's playing now. It's just a little overused. Ready to go to the bridge, sir? We should be able to take off our EV suits by the time we arrive. It's nice to be out of those EV suits. No matter how comfortable they try to make them, they never quite do it. It's only borrowed time. Let's get what we need and get out. Well, let me get what I need. You guys are just going to stay here because I don't need you following me around for the entirety of the mission. Really, I wish you could just not bring bridge officers, but that's a limitation of the Foundry. The data is corrupted, sir, but the science team should be able to reconstruct it once we're back on board the battle freighter. Alright, I'm going to check the communications log. Check the communications log. Seems like there was a security breach the night the ship was lost. Seems they were battened down for a severe ion storm and someone broke into one of the cargo bays. Logs indicate shortly afterwards some crewmen went missing, but that shortly after that, the environmental seals on the hull were discovered as damaged and their loss was chalked up to that. Most of the rest of the records point towards rapid attempts at evacuation or in containing the environment. No shuttles would have been able to survive the storm, so the crew all died at their posts, it would seem. I don't see why they didn't just barricade themselves in the shuttles. Like, that should have worked. I mean, the shuttle bay environment seals weren't damaged, were they? That'd be strange if they were. Then again, we're talking about Starfleet shuttles from the 22nd century, so no guarantees. Tragic, but we can give them rest finally. Let's check engineering records. Once I can get out of there. Interact. These logs match what we already know from the communications records. The ship battened down for the ion storm, and then the environmental seals began to breach. Chief Engineer did everything he could to evac their crew to Class F shuttles or seal the breaches, but nothing worked. We should check the flight logs to see why they didn't try to outrun the storm. Because, you know, ion storms are slow. You can just go to warp. Unless... Fascinating. It appears that the storm was a Class 10, and it was trapped in some sort of subspace anomaly, allowing it to travel at warp 9. Unless... original configuration constitutions were only rated for up to warp 8. They couldn't outrun the storm and it was too big to dodge, so they hunkered down. And waited for their deaths. Indeed. We should check the captain's log for any additional details. Captain's log, stardate 1508.5. We have little oxygen remaining. Many of the crew have already expired in the less protected areas of the ship. Should anyone find this recording, let it be known that we died valiantly, doing our duties as Starfleet officers. Remember us. You will be remembered. This is Lieutenant Yamaguchi. Sir, can you come back down to engineering? You, need to see this. Crew, stay here. Lieutenant? Colonel? Major? Nurse Alex Thomas. Really wish I recognized some of these NPCs. I don't play nearly enough Foundry missions. Lieutenant? Lieutenant? Well, I figured out what the feedback loop is. Remember how the Genolan Dyson Sphere was found? These people use the same technique as Montgomery Scott to suspend themselves in the transporter for the last century and a half. The little triangle here is because of Delta recruitment. In the Delta recruitment missions, if you are a Delta recruit, you actually teach Scotty the technique, which I think kind of takes away from Scotty being the super genius that he was, but it's still kind of cool, so I'll let it slide. Since this character is not a Delta recruit, I'm not going to press that button. One day I will press that button and find out what he says to that. There's really only one way to find out, sir. Their patterns are stable, but I don't know. I'm definitely not Montgomery Scott. Not yet, anyway. I could rematerialize them. They had enough power to support their patterns all these years. I would caution, sir, that while this is an unprecedented opportunity to meet members of Starfleet from so long ago, they may have issues adjusting to our century. There is also a 45.9362% chance of a transporter malfunction. These people might not have another chance at rescue. I can't allow them to remain as is. Do the thing! It's alright, you're okay. Who are you? What's going on? How long were we in there? It's okay, Lieutenant. You're safe now. I'm Lieutenant Tina Ina, 3rd Officer of the Agincourt. My name's Admiral Larginus of the USS Battlefreighter. I don't recognize your name. That's because you were in transporter stasis for 149 years. What? We spent a century and a half in the transporter buffer? Not the first time this has happened. I learned about the technique from Lieutenant Commander Scott on the Enterprise. He and I were having shore leave on Drozana a month back. Then there was a thing with a comet. I'd rather prefer to forget. He mentioned some officers in a funny uniform suggested a transporter suspension. He ran through the idea he had in his head. Then, when we were running out of air, I applied it here. No time like the present, or past, I guess. Gonna have to talk about that incident in Drozana. Really? Huh. I'm Lieutenant Lucas Sampson, ship's junior physicist, sir. Nice to meet you, Mr. Sampson. It's gonna happen to us. For the time being, we're on limited air. We'll beam you to our ship. And then, medical exams, and probably drop you somewhere. We've only got 10 minutes of air left, sir. Let's get our teams off the ship ASAP, including the Agincourt survivors. Really, the answer for my character should have been obvious. We're going to perform medical exams and then hand you off to DTI. For those of you who don't know who DTI is, go watch the episode Trials and Tribulations, or preferably go read the book. Alright, so in this room we've got Helena, Ensign Gia, Lieutenant Marina, and Glimmovtrav, the Tellarite. Gonna fight about it? Sir, pack it up. Let's get moving. Haul ass! Eh. Colonel, Major, pack it in. It's time to get out of here. Away team, to the transporter room. Alright, sir, step into my parlor and I'll have you home soon in a flash. Is that a pun, Shuji? Maybe. Less puns, more beaming. Coordinates locked. Energize. After leaving the Agincourt, the battle freighter's crew got to work analyzing the data recovered. An hour after returning, you've called a meeting of the staff to discuss what was found on the Agincourt. You're gonna go ahead and do an emote. With the exception of medical, all departments have compiled their data, sir. Thank you, Yeoman. Alright, what have we got? From their astrometrics data, I calculated their last several parsecs of travel. Supply run to Gamma 3, followed by a cargo run to M113, a search at XO3 for Dr. Roger Corby, another supply run at Titanibia, ferrying miners to Janus 4. That's where things take a turn. They ran into a Class 9 ion storm, and diverted into the system. That's the end of their flight log. I'm assuming the difference between Class 9 and Class 10 from earlier is because of the corruption in the log data that she has since repaired, so I'll go with her classification of Class 9. The damage from the ion storm was severe. It damaged their CO2 scrubbers and caused severe damage to their power generator systems. Hence why our survivors hooked the generator up to the transporter to survive. Worst was the damage to the ship's environmental seals. Already the environment we set up is halfway leaked out. I don't feel confident our tractor beams wouldn't destroy the ship if we went to warp, so I've sent a request to Starbase 39 Sierra to pick up the Agincourt with a proper tug, when one is available. That could be months if the war against the Iconians drags on. Understood. Commander Karin, any sign of foul play? Yes and no, sir. Security files are corrupted, so I was only able to attain limited information. However, the security chief had noticed that someone was smuggling supplies out of the cargo bay's food stores in large amounts at night. Typically salted food for outposts. They hadn't tracked down the culprit. About 13 hours into the ion storm, several crewmen went missing. I found a corrupt file about how they stopped the search when they became aware of the environment seal leaks. Based on the reports, I'd say their mysterious thief had been there a while before the ion storm, and definitely did not sabotage the Agincourt. I can confirm the Lieutenant Commander's reports. Whatever their security breach was, it wasn't related to the death of the crew in bulk. Understood. Boista, any intelligence concerns? No heralds or other Iconian servitor races in the area. No unusual Romulan activity, but the Star Empire is busy trying to defend Raytor from assault and seeking out enemies. As far as the Agincourt goes, besides their mysterious security breaches at the cargo base, they seem secured for the time period. Very well. Sciences, anything to report? Most of the Agincourt's missions were later solved by the USS Enterprise that year. Their crew found nothing on XO3. Wrong! and the existence of the M113 creature wouldn't be discovered until the Enterprise made their check-in. And the Agincourt only reported the lack of new artifacts from the planet. Most of the scientific data is irrelevant, unless you have use for the amount of cubic space dust per parsec in 2261. Maybe I might win a trivia contest. Give it to me anyway, you pighead. He's Tellarite. Tellarites like to argue, so insulting him is kind of a compliment. I, likewise, have nothing of note to report. It would appear that besides their security breach, the Agincourt was fulfilling its duty nominally. Very well. Until the doctor can confirm the well-being of our guests, sir, I recommend we head to Starbase immediately. There's nothing more we can do here. The Agincourt is too frail to tow, and the crew is under duress from the Iconian invasion. We need a layover, and we need to offload our new guests. Any suggestions? I recommend we set course for Starbase 114 in the Celeste system immediately. They have a number of counselors trained in temporal affairs to help our guests, and we do need the leave time. Alright, set a course for the Celeste system. I mentioned the Department of Temporal Investigations earlier. They only appeared in one episode, but they also have a small series of books written around them, and I am actually a very large fan of the DTI novels. The first one is Watching the Clock, followed by what's the name of that one? Forgotten History. And then there's a short ebook called The Collectors, which I actually just finished reading not long ago. That one's fun. It involves an assimilated T-Rex at one point, and that's funny, because they did the tiny arms joke. Really, the DTI novels are really, really fun, and you should definitely read them. The ebook, if you've got a Kindle, you can download the Kindle app for PC and go ahead and read it. It's short, and it's funny. The other two DTI novels are a little longer, but they're just as fun. I prefer the first to the second, but that's just because it seems to have more going on than the Forgotten History one. Plus, I've never been a big fan of books set in the TOS era. I don't know why, I just never got into them. For me, it's Lost Era onward. By the way, the Lost Era book series is also amazing. Personal recommendations for The Art of the Impossible, Beneath the Raptor's Wings, and The Sundered. No, it's not Beneath the Raptor's Wings, it's, Serpents Among the Ruins. Art of the Impossible deals with the Betreka Nebula incident, Serpents Among the Ruins deals with the Tomed incident, and The Sundered is a completely original concept that is actually amazing. Approaching the Celeste system, Captain. Drop to impulse. So yes, go read DTI. We've arrived at the Celeste system, sir. Approach Starbase 114, best possible speed. Welcome back to Starbase 114, Admiral. I hear you've got some guests out of time for us. Yes, Commander. We also would like to take some shore leave if possible. Understandable. You're always on the front lines, after all. I'll clear your crew for shore leave. Sending orbit coordinates now. And Admiral, enjoy your stay. Sir, I've still got some paperwork to do before I can go fully on shore duty. And I know you've got paperwork for this encounter. Why don't we all catch a drink in the promenade and get it done? Maybe I'll tell a story or two. Capital idea. I'll grab my pad. Excuse me. Lost Era novels are actually kind of fun. Serpents Among the Ruins is probably my second favorite after Art of the Impossible, because Art of the Impossible took 3 lines of dialogue from one episode of DS9 and made a full novel about it. And it's amazing. It spans over 20 years of Trek history. It involves the destruction of the Enterprise C. It kills off several canon characters, which is kind of dumb, but it needed to happen eventually. But it ties a lot of things together. It is very well written. Go ahead and pick up Art of the Impossible. Serpents Among the Ruins is also heavily recommended. Sundering, or The Sundered, you can pick it up and it is an interesting read, but I wouldn't as wholeheartedly recommend it unless you really want to go for maximum lore. Next thing I know, I'm pulling Moran off Karin, claws her out, mind you, while Rulin is dragging Marcus out from underneath him. All this is going on while Moran is yelling at the top of her lungs to knock it off. Those two need an attitude adjustment. I get that Cochrane is upset that she is dating a man who thinks Starfleet security is a joke, but this behavior on both parties is irrational. That's exactly what it is, Mutstand. They're more alike than they think. Marina came to my quarters talking about how both of them like the same sports, same movies, same books. And yet this inter-service rivalry results in broken bones and bruised egos. If we don't get under control... she's dead! What the... By the five. We need to go find out what's going on. Agreed. Let's get going. Shortcut! Make a recruiter. The commotion seems to be coming from near the end of the promenade, near the public offices for the Admiralty, past the shipyard. Colonel Moran was here with some friends, and they ran off that way as soon as they heard the screams. Thanks for the help. Carry on. Where are you guys going? The excitement's this way. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, we no longer need our EV suits. If anyone watching this video speaks Swedish, you'll probably understand why I named Motstand Motstand. For those of you who don't, it's the Swedish word for resistance. So it's kind of it's a pun from First Contact. I kind of enjoyed making it, it's funny. Plus it's a kind of fitting name for a liberated Borg. Oh my, is that... It is. Let's ask our officers what happened. But first let's go headhunting. Because apparently there's lots of named NPCs in here from other places. We've got Helena from Haverhaz series. She started in Haverhaz series, but everybody's got open license to use her now. Thelos Chistriz, I don't know where he's from. David Ford, I recognize the name. Frankie Merchant. Tachar. Ulan. Stelius the Wise? I want to know where he's from. That sounds fun. Commander, Ryzian civilian, a medic, a Daha Master, Starfleeter, independent transport captain, and engineer, Ulan, cadets. Don't mind me, I want to find all of the named NPCs. Sarah Leclerc, that sounds familiar. Competent civilian, Ulan. Hey look, a zombie! Zambi. Shoko Futagami. Laura Hernandez, I think that's my substitute con officer. Gleb Mavtrov. A medic. Hey look, it's the author! Hello Brendan, how are you today? Artok. What are the two of you doing? Why are you churning butter? Why are you churning butter? Cardassian officer, Commander Science. LT Tech. Yes, I do insist. Special project research. Yeah. Atholian and Orion. LT Sarkey? Where's Sarkey from? That sounds fun. Okay, that's all the named NPCs. Let's talk to Marina. Admiral, sir. She's dead. I'm still trying to find the cause of death. Phaser? I'm not ready to make that a judgment call yet, sir. There's some stippling on her back under the uniform, suggesting a point-blank stun blast. And at that close range, even stun is lethal. I swear I didn't do it. I was walking with Tina when I don't know. Suddenly everything was a blur, and then Tina was gone, and she was dying. I know I didn't do it, but that's a very suspicious memory loss, Lieutenant. It doesn't help your case. That's what I've been saying. Captain, he's got a phaser pistol. She's got evidence of being shot in the back, and he's got memory loss. She hasn't confirmed that yet. Don't jump to conclusions. Keep a level head, Marcus. This evidence is preliminary and no more proves he did it than your name being Marcus Antony. Well, this crowd is going to demand blood if something isn't done soon. And what exactly would you suggest, Commander? A summary execution? We all need to... Nah, I was thinking more about shooting him. Corin. Emotes. Don't know why it keeps scrolling up. That's a bug. Oi. Facepalm. I'd slap you if there was an emote for it. It should at least appease the crowd and show the lieutenant doesn't go anywhere. Commander, that was completely uncalled for. You were showing off in front of Moran. Simpson wasn't going anywhere. I'm sorry, sir. You're right. My performance on the ship has been better than this. You're damn right it has. Don't make me reconsider your promotion. Better be. Where's Corin planning on gunning down the kindergartners for eating pace? Don't start, or I'll slap you too. In the less depressing news category, this woman wasn't killed by that phaser. Her body's pH levels are off, and preliminary scans indicate that's what killed her. Neither Tulloch or myself are biochemists, but I can confirm the phaser didn't kill her. Corin, take Lieutenant Sampson down to the security office and hold him there. And when that stun wears off, I want you to apologize. Colonel Moran, disperse this crowd and help Lieutenant Moran gather evidence, including that phaser. Sorry to interrupt, sir, but I have an idea. Sampson said he was with Lieutenant Ina. She's not here, and I'd assume she'd be here by now with how fast Scuttlebutt moves on the starbase. You might keep an eye out for her or anyone else acting suspiciously. Good idea, Lieutenant. And I can already think of one. When we started moving it this way, we passed a squad of people running in the opposite direction. Everyone else was running toward it. If nothing else, it's a lead, sir. Alright, we'll loop back. Find those runaways. Gentlemen, you're with me. It's a good thing we came on our away mission fully armed. Disengage holographic disguise. Activate armor. Yes, I roleplay that my character uses holographic emitters in his armor to make it look like he's wearing a uniform. Because honestly, that makes sense. Talk to the diplomatic corps recruiter. How can I help you? When the commotion happened, did you see 4 people run past? Yeah. They were headed for the conference. They were headed off past the conference hall toward the turbo lift. Turbo lift, get moving. This is the counter command armor, by the way. I've got those visuals. Although I might rebuild my old armor set. Download turbo lift data. They've gone down to the cargo holds. Captain, could the people we rescued be responsible for the security breach on the Agincourt? Only one way to find out. Let's find them. Talk to Commander Cleveland. This deck is locked down. No one's getting out once they get in, Admiral. I suspect the officers were for the Agincourt. We suspected the officers from the Agincourt we found are responsible. Why? They're 150 years at a time. Why would they rob our cargo bays? Why would they murder one of your crew? None of this makes sense. Then we need to hurry and capture them before it's too late. Cargo Bay 1 was the one that was ransacked. You start there, we'll keep vigil on the turbo lifts and Jeffrey's tubes to prevent them from escaping. Guns out. Scans the cargo bay. Most of these crates weren't torn into, and some of them have valuable goods. Dilithium, platinum, military-grade phasers, Starfleet-grade tricorders. Instead, they broke into food stores. Why? There are replicators all over the station. Correction, they didn't eat the food. They ate the salt. The Agincourt had stopped at M113 during its patrol route, and that was before the Enterprise showed up. A handful of the M113 creatures could have escaped. Those people in the transporter beam? All of them? No, not all of them. M113s lose their projected image when stunned. Lieutenant Sampson was stunned by Corrin. He's real. But the others aren't. The creatures are smart, but they don't know our technology. When the Agincourt hit that anomaly and its O2 levels were dropping, they needed an escape. Lieutenant Sampson rigged the transporters so they could survive, then they let him live since they needed his knowledge to do so. We need to find the creatures quickly. There's other salt stores in these cargo bays. Nanite health monitor up. Huh, I wonder what those movements are. Please, we need to eat. We're all that's left. We need your salt. We can give you salt, but you can't get away with murder. It wasn't murder. It was eating. I was hungry. I couldn't hold it anymore. I needed the salt. We can replicate salt. No, you don't understand. We need salt. We can't wait for it because we need it. Alright, posthumous Darwin Award. If you aren't patient enough to even wait for a bloody replicator, you don't deserve to live. Death! That's slow, though. Let's put this counter-command rifle to good use. I don't use this rifle enough anymore. I mean, I'm only using it for the set, but it is fun to shoot people with sometimes. That's it, sir. Said, though. These creatures are all that were left of their race. They traveled the stars to survive, and instead found death. They were too impatient to wait on a replicator. That could have saved their lives. If they can't wait for a replicator, they don't deserve to live. I just wish we could have found a peaceful solution. After all, they were a sapient life form. We don't have time for regrets. We owe a lieutenant an apology. I ain't got time to bleed. Posthumous Darwin Award. I'm sorry, but if you're too impatient to wait for a matter replicator to make an infinite amount of salt for you, you deserve to go extinct. The first time I played this mission, I felt sorry for the M113s because they're now extinct, and the only ones that we have in the game are clones. But sheesh. If they're gonna be that impatient, and they were in the original episode, if they're gonna be like that, they deserve to go extinct. Like, there's just no two ways about it. You can either wait for the replicator or die. Yeoman, I'm telling you, I didn't kill that woman. We believe you. You do? Oh, thank God. But what happened then? Why is memory? Your co-survivors were creatures from a planet called M113. What? They're creatures capable of illusionary mind control. M113 creatures are a sapient species that lives off salt. In a pinch, they'll eat the blood salts of other beings. They're also capable of disguising themselves as other people with minor mind control. The crewmen they impersonated likely were either eaten or never existed in the first place. So that's it. I'm the only one of my crew left? Sadly, yes. What do I do? Where do I go? In the short term, Lieutenant Sampson, you need a place to relearn history. We could send him back to the academy, but with all the cadets being mobilized for the war, that may be impractical. We could send him to DTI, but I think I've got a better solution for that. And that's to beam up and leave him here. If you can't tell, I'm a big fan of DTI. Also, for all of you Doctor Who fans, the first Department of Temporal Investigations book has an Easter egg in it that you might want to see. Or, to quote the 11th Doctor, "You shot my TARDIS!" If you want to know what that's about, you're gonna have to read the book. They also nearly vaporized H.G. Wells' time machine. Shame on them. Captain on the bridge. Oh, stop. You know I don't like that. No more salt vampires, sir? No, just a new addition to the crew. Gotta say, like the new uniform. Good to hear it. I miss my family, but they've been dead a century. I don't think they'd want me moping around. Besides, I've got 150 years of history to catch up on. Even Earth is a strange new world now, and I always did want to be an explorer. You're almost on the right ship, Lieutenant. Except when it's time to fight the Klingons, or the Romulans, or the Borg. What are the Borg? A race you're gonna wish you forget, Lieutenant. Con? Sir? Set a course out of the system. Warp 7. Course plotted. Make it so. Do the thing! And that's Derelict, ladies and gentlemen. We murdered the last of the original M113 vampires. The ones in the fleet action that drain the salt on that one planet, they are apparently clones that are genetically re-engineered to not suck the salt out of Vulcans and Romulans. Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. What were you thinking? Why did you think that was gonna work? You're stupid. But, yeah, where is it? Okay. Mine trap. Vampires. So, that's it for today. We've rescued somebody from 150 years in the past. We've made a species go virtually extinct. All in a day's work. Next time I record an episode, I'm probably going to be doing Step Between Stars over in the Solanae arc, after which I will probably do Surface Tension. I might do both of them at the same time. I'm also planning on doing other Foundry missions. I recently played the Iconian War Anthology mission Rise of Mulrihan off camera, and I was impressed by the author, so I'm probably going to be playing several of P. Sutherland's missions. This Far No Further is part 5 of Captain Revo series. I'm probably going to wind up recording Captain Revo series, but it is a 6-part series. I'm definitely going to be doing Purity, because Purity is an amazing series. So, Shadow of Midas, I'll probably record when the 3rd mission comes out, which is probably going to be a while, but it's okay. Emissary of the Paw Wraith is part 4. Oh, it's only a 5-part mission. Sorry. Battleship Chaos Rumble. But yeah, I've got a lot of Foundry missions that I am planning on doing. I've got the story missions that I still plan on doing, which is Step Between Stars, Surface Tension. I'll do Mindscape just to wrap up the thing there. Reunion I might do. Revelation I'll probably do. All It Glitters I'll probably do. Capture the Flag I'll definitely do because that's a fun mission. Dragon's Deceit, probably because that's fun. Alliances I might do, I'll debate it. Revolution is mandatory, Takedown's mandatory, What's Left Behind is mandatory, Dust to Dust I'll probably do. So yeah, we've got a ton of content yet. And I'm probably also going to record Klingon Foundry missions, Klingon play, Romulan missions, Romulan play. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos. I do have a lot of stuff that I want to do. So, this is definitely nowhere near the last video. So until next time, this is Lord I signing off, saying see you out there.